On today's video, I'm going to be interviewing real quickly my friend Sergio and my friend Jose about their worst experiences house flipping. And also, if you're new to the channel, my name's Justin Wrong. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur here in Las Vegas. I've made hundreds of videos teaching people about real estate, and the goal of this channel is to help you grow your money and mindset. Also, if you want to see more personal content, follow me on Instagram at Justin You're Wrong. All right, Jose, so tell me your worst experience that you've ever had with a house flip, property, anything like that.
I had two nightmare houses, but let's just start with one. This one was a property in a city, not in a city, in an area called Little Haiti in South Florida. For those of you who are from South Florida, you will know what I'm talking about. So that area used to flood a lot. So there was this house is kind of flooded a little bit. So I went and checked it out, made an offer, got the offer accepted. When I walked in the house the first time, it was a disaster. It was closed all the way to the halfway to the wall. You couldn't walk. There was rats, all the stuff that you're like, as a flipper, you're used to it because you see it, you're like, okay, this is bad but doable. Happens. I closed on the deal, got the actual keys, and then that weekend rained. Here comes the thing. That weekend rained. I'll go back to the property, and the whole front yard is completely flooded like maybe like 2 or 3 inches of water. It looked like a mini river, and I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be bad. Walk in, and somebody had left the kitchen sink open, and it was flooding inside, and then the water from the outside mixed with the water from the inside, and it was flooded the whole thing. So you now imagine you're talking about maybe 7 feet tall pile of just garbage in every single room, wet and smelly. It was so bad that I walked in and I saw everything. I walked out, came back the next day because in Florida you get a sunny day and everything just kind of dries up, and it smelled so bad. I don't know if you ever left by mistake you ever left like your clothes in the washer by mistake for a little too long, and they get this little like, oh, imagine that 100 times worse. And I walked in, and I have an extremely strong stomach. I walked in, opened that door, and I just felt that little like wave of and I walked out, and I looked at my friends like, don't go in there. And he didn't. It's like, you're being a baby. He walks in, he walks out, and pukes.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
And that was nasty. That was really nasty.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Gee, so it's mainly the condition of the home.
Yeah.
That just
It was. This is the first one. Yeah, it was pretty bad, and especially because it flooded, and it was a flood zone, but it was terrible. I cannot, like, it was one of those smells that just marks you for life.
Oh my
I still remember that whenever I smell something bad, it's always like, it is not as worse as bad as that one.
Jeez. Serge, what about you? Not necessarily the nastiest house, but more so like maybe the biggest issues or struggles you've had with maybe contractors or just flipping a house. Like, any stories you have?
The biggest issues?
Yeah.
Rehab wise?
Could be rehab wise or anything before that. Like, yeah, usually during the rehab is when nasty stuff happens. Like, whether that experience with contractors or could be the nasty conditions too.
Okay, I'll tell you something. I wouldn't say it's nasty, but like one of the worst things that I deal with at the moment is my dad. I work with my dad. He's my He's like my contractor. Like, we're partners, but he's on the field. He's like my field manager, our field manager, I guess. And I guess that's my biggest problem is he loves to fire people. So I'm project manager, and I spend like weeks trying to find like the right people to hire. I hire them, and he fires them on the spot. And I'll tell you this, we've had a different painter. That's like his little like nitpicking problem. Like, that's like his little, like, it has to be done just right, is like the painting. And if it's not perfect, he'll fire him. And yeah, dude, I've never had one painter paint more than one house because he keeps firing everybody.
Oh my God. What has been his authority with being able to fire people? Is like anyone on the job, any sub, or?
Well, he doesn't have like he can fire whoever he wants. He's like pretty much my partner.
Okay.
But here's the issue. Like, I have to fire them because he's like, I hate that guy. He's the worst, blah, blah, blah. He said he doesn't like flippers. I'm a flipper. and I don't like when people talk to me like that, blah blah blah. And like this guy almost gets in fist fights with people.
Wow.
Like, I love you, Dad, but you gotta chill out.
Heart on the sleeve, huh?
What?
Heart on the sleeve.
Heart on his sleeve, you know, and you know, if it's not one thing, it's another. And he's a chill guy. Don't make. He's not an aggressive guy, but still, like, just something about painters. Like, I think he gets like so nitpicky about it, and he wants it so perfect that like nobody is good enough.
See.
And it's kind of an issue.
So that's been like one of your worst things going on, the nastiest. It's hard.
It's still going on.
How about you?
I was curious. How are you dealing with that right now with your dad? Like, are you talking with him? Like, hey, like, it doesn't have to be perfect, or is he just like no, this is this way, or?
So, you know, I'm kind of just letting it happen. I'm letting him see like the results of firing people.
Okay.
We've had a project where we're supposed to paint it in a couple days. It's been 3 weeks.
Okay.
Ouch.
And that task still has not been done.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, you know, we're behind, you know, on this house now, and we've been on this same task for 3 weeks now, and we should have been done 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, like, and I was like, man, just you gotta trust me, you gotta let me hire people, and so you know, little by little, he's starting to see like, yeah, like I gotta stop firing people,
Right.
and he's slowly letting go. Like, letting go is so hard. It's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, for me too, and for him, like it's our baby, it's his baby, it's my baby, and we just want it to be done right. We're not trying to flip houses and like have it look ugly or have like really bad work.
Right.
Like, it represents us too. Like our it's like our art piece kind of.
Right.
You know, and then we're selling it, and like we just want it to look really nice. And I think he just takes it a little bit personal, and for some reason, like, he didn't say anything to the tile guys, he didn't say anything to like the landscapers, he didn't say anything to like the window guy.
Right.
Like, it's always the paint guy every single time.
Wow. Well, I think that's normal. It's like it's hard to let go, and until you see like the consequences of acting too fast when it's not necessary, that's when you start to be like, okay, like I get it.
Yeah.
So that's
But there is a line that you have to draw,
yeah.
because the saying says, you know, hire slow, or give equity slow but fire fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you determine where that line kind of gets drawn? Because you know that somebody's doing a bad job, you better fire them, you know, quickly, because otherwise it's gonna cost you more money and time. But if you continuously like searching for perfection, it's not gonna help either. Like, so there is some type of line that is kind of
middle
drawn
ground.
there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so my nastiest thing, you asked me it. So it's not so much nasty of like the house condition, but it's more so like the experience it sucked at the time. Now looking back, it was fine. But it was my first virtual flip ever. So I'm new to Vegas, a year in. And when I first moved, I got a new deal under contract in Fresno, California. And I was like, oh, cool, first virtual flip. I think I can do everything. And I did. I first got, everything was pretty smooth. Like, even getting the contractor, the bids and stuff, super cheap bid came in. I was like, oh, it was nice compared to the other bids. Let's get this bid. And I worked with a guy before. And so he was a different guy this time around. And maybe like 25 or 30%, 50% into the project, he just disappeared. He disappeared on me. I thought I had paid him a little bit extra than where he was at, but I think we were pretty spot on of like, he did the work that he needed, but communication stopped completely. And I was like, where'd this guy go? Calling him, texting him, Facebook messaging, email, whatever I
Ghost
had.
you.
And I was like, where did this guy go? And then finally, after like a bit of time, I think I let it out drag out too long. But after a bit of time, I talked to my attorney. I was like, dude, what do I do? Like, what can I legally do? Because we have a signed contract that this is his obligation to do this, and then I'm paying him. But like, he stopped. Like, what do I do now? And he told me like, no, like, send him like, I guess like a warning. Like, hey, like, I don't want to have to do it, but I'll have to reach out to my attorney and like get legal involved. I don't want to, but like, just respond. Like, where are you at? Like, is everything okay? Essentially. So that's kind of the general message. First, it was like, hey, are you okay? Like, where are you at? And then after no responses, then I was like, let me send the warning thing. And after
What happened?
Nothing. Like, he said that his phone didn't get the messages or anything or calls, and I was like, what? Because he finally answered after I sent the legal warning, and he answered. He's like, oh, sorry, I'm at a baseball game. I was like, dude, where you been? And so like that was the first part of that project. And after it, I was like, hey, like if you can't commit to it, because he ended up being tight on money, really tight on money. And I was like, well, there's a job for you. But he wasn't able to fulfill the rest of the project. So I was like, hey, like, it's okay. Like, we won't get legal involved. Just like send me the proof that you did everything that you needed to do. And so we're good. We left on a good note. But then after that, I was like, I'm going to get a new person. And so I got a new contractor. He was great. So that contractor was phenomenal. And I didn't have real issues with the home besides that contractor thing until the rehab finished. So once the rehab finished, it was trouble. After the rehab finished, this was completely my fault too for not warning my project manager at the time, but we had a bunch of break-ins. Like we even had an alarm system set, probably close to 20, like boom, 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 like daily thing. And like the neighbors all knew, they were aware of it. They would call my project manager, they'd call the police. The alarm system would notify police. So it was constantly like, they knew my name, first name basis, the police station.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be like, hey, I was like, oh, you're the guy from Vegas. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
No.
It was so bad. And like, we even boarded up the house, every single entrance we could find. And they were like professional squatters or something. Like they would undrill the boards or find different ways in. I'm like, I don't know how they're getting in.
Squatters with tools.
And yeah, and then they were also like breaking stuff inside, which made it worse. Like windows, the inside stuff. I'm like, you could just live there. Why do you have to break stuff?
Yeah.
Like that happened all throughout after the rehab, even during escrow when someone had agreed to buy the home and we had to give warnings. Like, hey, like just a heads up, like there's some squatters, like we're getting them out. Police is always sent. Like we're repairing everything they fixed. Don't worry. And it was like to the very last day of escrow, like the day before, like, all right, like everything's repaired. And like, oh, they just broke something else. I'm like, oh, like I was like to the point to where I almost hired someone to sit in the house like a gun. I was like, I need a bodyguard for the house.
I've done that.
Really?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, I thought about
Boom.
it. Like a dog and a guy with a gun.
Not even a guy with a gun, just like workers. You know, a lot of the guys
them
that
live there?
work,
Yeah.
they have roomies, and they don't want to be there. They want their own little space.
Oh.
They don't get, you know, some of them don't get paid that much. You know,
Yeah.
the demo guys or just whoever. You know, I asked some, hey, you want to stay at the flip for free? Yeah, sure. And they don't have a gun or nothing. They have a phone.
Yeah, and the house is all nice and rehabbed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's the next plan of action. But they even stole the alarm system one of the times.
Woo, boy.
Yeah, it went off, and then my realtor went out. I was like, hey, can you go to the home, secure the home alarm system? And he's like, it's gone. It's like, come on. And so, but we finally got it sold. We profited less because of like the squatter issues and like other exterior stucco and stuff. But overall, I was like, that was kind of a headache. It was definitely a headache to do that much for one single property.
Ooh, I'm virtually.
And that was my first virtual flip. And I was like, no way, it's this hard every single time. But it didn't turn me away from flipping for sure. Like it really just made me, okay, like, if I'm in this zip code, which was the ghetto, I was like, let's just budget for the squatters in
The
these.
hood.
Yeah, and the hood zip codes, like I'm a budget for squatters. So now I do. I'm like, okay, even when I get them, which I still do, I'm like, it's okay.
Just bake that cost into the deal.
Yeah,
Yep.
100% before I offer. So that's what I do now.
You got your stripe there.
Yeah, got the stripe. So that's been my experience. So there you have it. Those are our worst experiences with house flipping. And if you just need help to grow your real estate business, whether you're brand new or if you already get deals on your belt, DM me the word coach on Instagram at Justin You're Wrong. Peace.